What's up, guys? So basically what we wanted to get into discussion about today was the club. I know the club is a big scene for a lot of young men.
Sorry, the nightclub to be specific.
I feel like I think most people know what we mean when we say the club.
I feel like you don't know
about
for sure.
Anyway, guys, the club is a big thing for a lot of people, especially in their 20s and their teenage years. I know me personally, I used to really love the club. Yeah, over the last couple of years, I just feel like the club itself has just gotten to a point where, it's not even really like the club. When I was a teenager, it's like I kind of grew up in the transition period. I grew up in the transition period where the club was a lot of people just dancing. It was a lot of people talking. But then it kind of transitioned to this point where it's like mostly people are on their phones. It's all table sections now. Like you go into the club now and if there was an awkward moment, that was kind of like your time to kind of talk to people. It's like the first hour and a half, people are kind of nervous, and then the drinks sit in, and then people would start talking to each other just because, it would get awkward, and people would be like, okay, what the heck? It's like a school dance. You ever been to a school dance and all the kids are nervous at first, and then after a while, the music sets in, you're like, all right, it's cool. But obviously the club has alcohol, so it's a little bit more easier. But I think it went from that to when there's an awkward moment now that people just get on their phones. And I think that kills the vibe, because the great thing I liked about the club was that you didn't have to know everybody. Like you could meet someone that day and that person could be your friend for the night. Or you meet a girl that day and then all of a sudden, you could hit her up and maybe go on a date, maybe something else happen.
All right, so let me let you guys know now that I'm not a fan of the nightclubs, right?
He hates it.
I do hate nightclubs, I'll be honest, but I'm not gonna sit here and act as if I never went to them and had fun. When I first turned 18, there were two clubs in the area that I'm in that are no longer there, but they were 18 and up clubs. So as soon as me and a couple friends turned 18, we all rushed to the clubs, and every weekend we would go to the club, drink, I said drink. I mean,
bro,
it's whatever.
It's whatever. I think everybody's tried something.
That's facts. All I tried is alcohol. But point is this: we were drinking in the club, wasted, doing stupid stuff, and that's how I view the club. I feel like it's unless you're going there to actually dance and blow off steam with your friends. Other than that, I think it's stupid, because you're in a spot with a bunch of sweaty people, inebriated half the time. Most people aren't even in their right minds,
and at all.
And it's like, what's the point? I don't understand it.
Well, Lily, honestly, because here's the thing. I understand why, as a young man, we want to go to the club. The reason why we want to go to the club is that, okay, guys, so I'm from, a smaller area, right? I'm from a smaller area, and you kind of see the same people all the time, and you want to see someone different, and, it's like, when you're a smaller area, it's like the girls that you see in your high school, you could have seen them in middle school, you could have seen them in elementary school. Going to the club, to me, was like an hour. Yeah, it was like an hour trip, sometimes like a 45-minute trip. And I would just see just a variety of just different people. So that was one thing. And the other thing is, as a guy, what other place are you going to see a variety of very attractive women in a small space? The club was that. And as a guy, that's how I fell into the trap of going to the club. It's like, oh, man, I see a lot of these attractive women all in one spot. And then, you're like, okay, well, this must be the perfect spot to talk to the woman at because they're all here. But in reality, the club is probably the worst place to talk to a woman. The absolutely worst place. It's the best place to get finessed by a woman.
Yeah, the club has a terrible ROI, a terrible return on investment when it comes to closing a deal. Unless you are checking off all the boxes for what hypergamy asks for, which if you don't know what that is, you can Google it, then it's not going to be a super easy situation for you to quote unquote pull, for the lack of better words. So, it's just a waste of time. Now, this is all in hindsight. Like I said, I'm in my early 30s now. So I'm looking at this from a perspective of, I wasted so much time in my late teens, early 20s. It's all hindsight. Let's be honest. But looking at it now, I'm like, man, I could have done so much more of my time. Because the real key to getting what you want, which is for us women, because we're straight men, not that not being is wrong, is to not go to the club and chase women, but to invest your time in learning skills and building yourself up to then be a attractive person that women want to be with. So it's like, but again, this is all hindsight to me. This is obviously it's clear as day now because I'm sitting from a different perspective. That's just how I see it.
because here's the thing about the club. Back when tables wasn't really a thing, you could be a regular guy, and it was pretty much just kind of like the money aspect to me. It just wasn't as big as it is now. Now, if you go to a club, it's like you got to buy a table. That table's got to come with a couple bottles. If you have like 5 girls, you're gonna need 2 bottles. It's become more of a like money thing. So the barrier to entry when it comes to money has gotten higher. Because before it's like, okay, as a guy, you just have to pay at the door. Now you got to pay for a table. Now you got to pay for bottles, which are more expensive than drinks, which I think is a waste of time to even buy drinks. I've never met someone who bought a girl a drink and it ended up working out for him. Like, never. Like, never have I met a girl at the club where it has worked out for me and she's like, oh, you got to buy me a drink. Like, that's never happened.
So I have to bring this up because I'm a little older than you, right? And so, and like I told you, like I just mentioned, I was in the club starting from like 18. So that was like a while ago now. But I remember still being flashy. People buy, like I went to the club when with a friend of mine and his brother-in-law. And this is back before I even bought alcohol. I wasn't old enough to buy it yet. So I had never bought alcohol before. And his friend or his brother-in-law bought a bottle of Bacardi and paid like $400 or $500
for a $30 bottle of Bacardi.
That's my point. But that was, I don't even know. Let's do some math here. 15 plus years ago, right? So my point is has it really changed? And back then they were buying tables too. So I'm not sure. Maybe because back then I wasn't even thinking about it because we didn't have the money. We were just standing in the middle with everyone else. But there were still people with tables and pulling up in nice cars.
I'm saying is just that, like, were there tables back then? Absolutely. Like, I'm not denying that. It just, now, if you walk into a table compared to how it used to, if you walk into a club compared to how it used to be, it's like it's all tables.
Okay.
Like, when I lived in Houston for a short amount of time, it's like all tables. I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, where's the dance floor at?
Okay, maybe that's...
What I'm saying is that the bar for money has gotten higher. Before, it's like, okay, you see a couple ballers, there might be like 3 tables there. Now, it's like half the upstairs is a table.
I don't know. I guess it also depends on the club. Because like you said, you mentioned you were in Houston. I'm not going to say where we're at, but...
Yeah.
And I haven't been to the club in a while.
But no, even the places that we've had down here, where our location is at, when I was 18 compared to where I'm in now, there was like no tables. There was a few tables. Now it's like literally almost majority tables.
I'm trying to remember back, but okay.
I'm talking about clubs. I'm not talking about bars.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'll take it from a standpoint of personality as well. I'm an introverted person, and so I don't need very much stimulation to be stimulated. I don't need very much external sources to be stimulated. So I'm cool chilling, watching a movie, doing something hobby that I enjoy. I'm cool. Or if I even have some good music and like a slight buzz, or I'm in like a whole nother universe in my head because I go internal. I have friends that are exact opposite, and so they're all external. So they go and they get energized by the club. Me and introverted friends are like, is it time to leave yet? But especially if we're not drinking, don't, because then I'm looking at people like, yo, they look stupid. Everybody looks like freaking animals in here, looking ridiculous drunk. But yeah, I get it. Like, I think the personality plays a factor into it.
Yeah.
I have friends that are very like, they get into the club, they're hype. Woo, I'm like, yo.
I think so too. I think, to me, my enjoyment of the club depends on who I brought with me to the club. If I brought people who liked going to the club with me, going to the club was fun because I'm a person, I don't really consider myself introvert or extrovert. I'm just kind of like whatever the moment possesses where I need to be, I am. But when you're going with people who actually enjoy going out, it's more of an enjoyable experience opposed to people who don't like going out, because the people who don't like going out want to convince you that like you're wasting your time. The people that do like going out, it's all right.
I'm not mad about it.
The people that do like going out are going to do everything that they can to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like I said, that depends. But ultimately, I think, listen, I'm not one of those people that are like, no, don't ever go to the club. Don't ever do this. Like, I think going to the club is fine if you have your responsibilities in check. If you're not broke and you have money and you want to, let's say you want to just relax every once in a while, it's fine. I don't think it's something that you should be doing every weekend, especially as a young man. You should be building other things in your life. I think that's more important. And I think if you're really trying to find someone to date, the club is definitely the worst person. I mean the worst place. Because even if when you meet a girl at the clubs, a lot of times it ends up being flaky or things end up happening. And like a lot of girls don't take guys they meet seriously at the club. Like, have I gone on a couple girls dates that I've met women at the club? Absolutely. But ultimately I'm thinking, and I'm like, yeah, I could have done without it.
As you're speaking, I know I'm supposed to be actively listening. However, I was half listening and half thinking to myself.
So you're doing the usual.
Not the usual, just you can hold something here. A thumbs up. I was thinking, like, what is like a good reason to go to the club? I'm trying to rack my brain and think of something. The only thing I can't really. I was like, okay, is it a good place to go for business purposes to network? Not really.
No.
Because you can go to the bar and that's more of a bar situation or a lounge. At the club, it's too dang loud. Everybody's, it's like you're supposed to be moving. So I don't think that's a good reason.
Well, I think there's degrees to the club.
So what kind of club are you talking about?
For example, let's say you're in a club area, right? And there's a couple different clubs. A lot of clubs have their own vibe. Like, some people will only go to certain clubs.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I think meeting business connections in the club is probably better. I probably met more business related people that I've had good relationships with that have gotten me jobs in the club than I've met women. So if you want to meet guys with good connections, I don't think the club is a bad spot.
Yeah.
Because it's like you guys are both there for the same reason. And the fact that a lot of business people know that you're not trying to like hawk them down on business, not trying to sell them something, and they're in a relaxed state, I feel like it's just easier.
No, I agree with you. My version of that would be a lounge or a bar, which has happened to me as well. I've been at a bar before and I've had a conversation with someone and we start talking about whatever, books, finance, real estate, yada, yada, yada. And it goes from there. But in the club, I'm like standing against the wall looking like an idiot. Or sitting at the table looking like a
But you know what, though? I also find the opposite is true for me.
What's that?
So the club is a terrible place to meet women, but a great place to meet like business people or whatever. Because for a guy, everyone likes girls. For women, I think any other place but the club is a great place. Like business, I've met, I think, good quality women from going to business stuff opposed to going to the club. So I think it's the reverse.
I agree with you. The club is like a real life dating app.
No, it is. It is. You see everybody.
And not only do you see everybody, you don't see the real person. You see a done up version of the person. You don't know anything about them. Everyone's on 10. On 10.
It is real life swiping. It is like yes, no. Yeah. Because you could get denied in the club from a woman, and then she'll meet you in real life, and then she'll like you. So like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean
it's the same thing as a dating app. You might see a girl on a dating app and be like, oh, I'm good. And then you see her in person, you're like, yeah. So let us know what you think. Do you like going to the club? Do you think the club is a waste of time? Let us know.